My name is Grant. Carol, you've met, and that's the two of us there on the wall. But they were taken. Well, that photo was taken when I was late 50s and she was early 50s. And now I'm 85 and she is 78. We've been together since 1983. Had a wonderful life together, and we had a lot of activities together. Used to play golf together and bridge. And Carol was actually a very, very good bridge player, and she actually taught me how to play bridge. And we were usually in the top 3 of the competition at our club at Graceville. She also worked at the University of Queensland University, and on Friday nights she would go off to Lifeline, where she was a volunteer telephone counsellor. So she kept her mind very active, which is something you should do if you want to avoid dementia. However, we found that she was starting to make little errors in bridge, errors she'd never made before, ones that used to upset her greatly, and to the extent that after a while she said she didn't want to play bridge anymore. Same with golf, and also driving the car. She was going round to a girlfriend's place in the car and got lost, had to come back. And so we knew something was seriously wrong. Our doctor referred us to a specialist in the city, and the specialist diagnosed that she had early Alzheimer's. It was an Alzheimer's dementia, which was, of course, a big shock. Now, the specialist recommended some medication to take, but that medication made her nauseous, so we had to stop that. And then he suggested patches put on the arm. They also made her nauseous, so we had to say, right, that's it. We just have to live with it. We also realised that we had to do anything that we still wanted to do quickly. So we went off to South America and America for USA for a period of 4 months, travelled all around there, and then the next year we went over to Europe, got a motorhome and travelled around Europe for another 4 months. And then it was obvious that the Alzheimer's was kicking in. We had a caravan here, we used to go caravanning, but she would wander off and get lost. She would go to the shower room, come out and go in the wrong direction, and so we decided that caravanning was out as well. Carol was extremely upset over this period of time, and I used to often see her in a corner of the house having a cry, because she knew what was going to happen to her. Her mother had dementia later in life, though, and so she knew what was going to happen. We lived in quite a large house at Victory Pocket, but she started wandering. Twice she was brought back by people who had realised that there was something wrong with her, and she fortunately knew her address. And then the third time she got lost, I had to go driving around the roads to find her. So that made my mind up that we had to move into an appropriate residence, and we did. We moved into Rosemount, which is a Wesley mission retirement community, and we were one of the first to move in there. And even when we went in there, she wandered off a couple of times and ended up in other people's rooms. So I had to put one of those chain securities on the door, not to keep anyone out, but to keep her in. And that's worked very well, so that I can sort of relax without worrying that she's wandering off. She's had dementia now for over 10 years, and it got progressively worse, to the extent that she can't put sentences together now. She can't converse properly. She talks in a funny lingo, and but fortunately she can respond to questions like, do you want to go to bed now? Do you want to go to the toilet? And she can answer yes or no to those things. So that is something. Fortunately, she can still walk, but only holding onto my arm. And it also, walking has developed to the point that she doesn't like uneven surfaces or different textures. In other words, if she goes from tiles to carpet, she freaks out a bit. So we've got to select where we actually walk. We go to shopping centres. Mount Omni one is okay because all of the flooring is the same texture, it's all the same tile. The Indooroopilly one is not. It's got different patterns in the tiles, and she will just stop dead and try and step over them. She also doesn't like escalators. Lifts are okay. So it does limit what we can do. But now she's sort of in the later stages of Alzheimer's. She doesn't get so upset anymore. But the interesting thing is that if we're in conversation with other people and the conversation becomes a bit negative, she picks up on it. Same thing for news on the television. She picks up on negativity and it upsets her. So I have to record the news and watch it later after she's gone to bed. She, of course, can't cook anymore, so I've had to do practically everything for her now. So cooking, washing, ironing, the whole lot, and washing her as well, showering her. I've got to help her with that as well. More recently, well, no, probably 9 months ago now, she became incontinent, and that is a particularly nasty situation where she just doesn't know what's happening, and but fortunately there's a lot of gear available, like pads and pants that contain that, so it doesn't get so messy in cleaning up. And that's working out very well now. So we've got it down to a fairly fine art, and so we can live a reasonably normal life, go out and about, go dining and whatever. But of course it's very difficult with people, with friends, because you can't talk to them, you can't converse, and we found that some friends dropped off because they felt uncomfortable. And so we're sort of left with the ones that can handle that sort of situation. Also her time span of sitting down is limited, so if we go down to a meal or to the happy hour, 3/4 of an hour is about it, and then she wants to go and come back home again. But that's all right. 3/4 of an hour is fine. You can usually get a reasonable amount of social activity in there. She goes across to Hatton Place for respite care, respite for me of course, so she has 4 hours over there on a Wednesday, where she's looked after very well with very, very nice carers. And then on Thursdays we have a carer come in, again from the Wesley Mission, and this lady comes in and is with Carol for 6 hours on Thursdays, during which time she spends a couple of hours cleaning up as well. Fortunately, this lady, Pauline, is particularly outgoing and gets on extremely well with Carol, and Carol really loves her and loves to be with her. So that again gives me a day off during the week to do things that I can't do with Carol. So we're at a plateau now where she's at a point when life is still okay. I'm worried though down the track that she won't be able to walk anymore, and that's another chapter we've got to consider and get over, but we'll look at that when it happens, and for now we just live day to day and try and keep as happy as we can, and just accept that what's happened to Carol is one of those things that happens to a lot of people. She's probably, or we probably have handled it better than a lot. I know that other people who can't handle the incontinence will send their their partners across to care, because it is a difficult situation. But with our relationship and the way we're set up, I will certainly be looking after Carol as far as I possibly can. And being 7 years older, of course, is a worry, because I don't want to go first, but we can't do much about it, so we will worry about it. So that's my story and Carol's story, and a lot of similar stories, probably quite different, but that's our one.